Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you will realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen. Everywhere you look in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as well.
I hope you guys liked this, and please like and subscribe, and I hope you guys will start liking my My Hero Academia what ifs, because I really like writing them. And so, let's get into it. Summary: Wonder Woman has an affair with Aquaman, and their son moves to Japan. Then they have like a line of children with other people, of course. And then the age of quirks appear. And then, more generations, Ankle Midoriya. So, basically she wasn't really blessed like some gods born from powerful people. Like, say, Aphrodite, she's the god of beauty. That's not really a great power. And so, yeah, some of the gods don't have good powers. And probably same for demigods. And so then she marries the great-grandson of Aquaman, Hiyashi, just Hiyashi. And he was mostly mostly Atlantean, but he was a part Wonder Woman's line. And Wonder Woman was like the daughter of Zeus, so yeah. And so, Izuku, with his probably 15-20% from his mother and 30% from his father, makes him a demigod. And so, in this one, Izuku will basically have like a half lightning, half water, but his lightning will be harder to control. And without further ado, let's get into the story. Izuku Midori is running Kachan, he thinks. Then he gets blasted in the face by the sludge villain, who taunts him, says, "You really are the useless kid. Use your quirk." And then Bakugo says, "Deku, get out of here!" And the sludge villain says, "Oh, you don't have a quirk." Then Izuku gets angry for the first time in his life. Green thunderclouds are in the sky, streaking boom, boom, and everybody's surprised. Where did the thunder come from? So then, if you look at Izuku, you can see a water wave behind him and a streak of lightning heading right towards him. Then Izuku opens up his eyes. You see a golden crystal. Then Izuku holds the lightning bolt in his hands and chucks it at the sludge villain. And then the water just goes straight towards him, and Izuku is just in the water and just makes it go forward. Then he was able to get Bakugo out, and they try to try explosions, but in the water, but it absorbs it, and so then Bakugo gets safe, and Izuku's eyes dilate and passes out. And so then All Might looks at the kid in awe. If I didn't give my quirk to young Mario, he will be my successor. And so then people see that the water was healing him. It just went into his skin, healing him. So then Izuku gets up like he's all new, and all his burn marks and everything just goes away. And so then Izuku is confused, but decides to walk home and thinks, do I have a quirk? And the does he not know? He doesn't have a quirk. He has one of the most wanted and dangerous powers in the whole world. So then Izuku goes home, but then he gets a dream. A man who was half human, half Atlantean, was the bridge between the land and sea, and he brought it together by defeating his brother and claimed the throne as the king of the seven seas. And so then Izuku decides to go to Dagobah Beach for some reason, and then he wants to go to the water for some reason, and he hears a voice, "Put your hand in the water." And so then Izuku puts his hand in the water, and for some reason, his whole body feels rejuvenated, and he feels like he has so much energy. But then something happens. The water pulls him in, snatching him. Then he gets sent into a whirlpool, just a tunnel going down and down. Then he falls down into this cave. Then he sees a man holding a trident. And then he walks up and puts his hand on the trident. And then Izuku thinks, what happened? And then the trident goes to his hands, and then green golden scales go all around Izuku's body, and then Izuku goes back up to the mainland in the tunnel of water, and then the green petals disappear, and it's just Izuku holding this trident. And so then Izuku sees a trash pile and decides to use this trident and hits it with the trident, and the trash splits in half. And Izuku thinks, whoa. And so then Izuku's trident gets snatched, then set in place by this rock. And then the rock says, "You need to train here for 10 months. Get your body up to strength. Then you will be able to wield this trident. As you are right now, you are not worthy. You need to be worthy." And so then Izuku proceeds to train as hard as he can to make it into UA and to prove the, people who did that to his trident proud. He trains and trains. Then once it reaches the 10-month mark, he finished everything. So then he goes to reach for the trident. Once he touches it, all the rocks disappear around it, and Izuku gets the green petals around him, and so then he takes a shower and gets ready to go to school. And he forgot his trident, but for some reason, his trident just disappeared in his room and reappeared in his hand once he thought of it. And so then he goes to the UA, and he sets it outside since he asked to. And since that, he goes to the UA. And so the written exam goes the same, and Izuku still gets called out from Tenya Aelita. And now it's the practical exam. Izuku walks to the area stretching, and then a voice in his head says, "Your DNA and your powers got opened from your accomplishment. We decided to awaken your power." And he says, "Use that power of your trident and your heritage right. Be the god of the sea and sky." And so then once they say go, Izuku, for some reason, dashes off fast. And so then he's able to slice robots in half easily. And so then he thinks, wow. And so then he just runs more, slicing, even kicking some robots. Then he tries throwing it, and so he throws it right into a three-pointer's head in the dome. And so then he says, 10 points already? And so then he runs, slices, dashes. He's in a daze. Izuku is feeling the power of being a god. And then Izuku then punches one point in the face, just destroying it on impact. And then he thinks 21 points. And so then he just destroys tons of robots, uses his advantage and reach to destroy all robots. Then after 20 minutes, he got 47 points, he thought. But then he hears a huge boom. And then he runs to see a girl trapped and he freezes. His body is frozen in the moment. And so then without thinking, he runs. He protects the girl and then he sees the robots. And so then he thinks, I feel useless. But then something happens. The whole world shifts in everybody else's mind. Water is coming out from the doors of the area. And so then Izuku gets hefted up by the water. And so then Izuku with his trident jumps up in the air and yells, Poseidon's judgment, and slams down. And his trident goes straight down through the robot's head, cutting it straight in half. So then Izuku's falling and falling. But then out of the rod of the trident, for some reason, it acts on its own and lightning shoots out of it, green lightning. Then he's able to get a soft landing and thinks, wow. And so then Izuku thinks, hopefully I made it. And 1 week later, for the past week, Izuku's been trying to understand his power and his trident. And so then one day, he's thinking, then Inko Midoriya, his mother, barges through the door, screams, UA letter. Izuku nods and nervously opens up the letter and the device bounces out. And then a screen of All Might appears. Izuku scowls. He hasn't been really fond of All Might. When he becomes a hero, he wants to have a smile on his face and tell a Quirkus kid, you too can become a hero. And hopes he can make that true one day. And so then All Might says, congratulations, young Midoriya. You make it in with 47 points. But that won't quite get you in. Izuku dips his head. And so then All Might says, but that's not it. Then Izuku snaps his head up and says, you sacrifice your points and getting it into UA to save a person? Why would we reject someone who puts their life on the line to save? Then he shows, I'm a man of comedy. And then he shows the video of Ochako Uraraka asking President Mike to give him some of her points. And President Mike says, don't worry. And then pats her head. And so then All Might says, why would we kick a person out for being heroic? This is UA. So then he says, with 60 rescue points and your 47 villain points, you get 107 points in total, and that means you're the #1 prospect and hero candidate going into UA. And young Midoriya, come, welcome to Boku no Hero, My Hero Academia. Izuku clenched his fist. I'm not doing it for you, All Might. I'm doing it for all the quirkless people out there. And when they see me, I'll show them a bright smile on my face and say, I am here. Not for you. Not for anyone. I'm doing it for the world. And so then Izuku smiles. And so then 3 days later, he writes down what he wants his costume to be. And he basically, he already basically has his own costume, but decides to add a cape like that guy did in the dream he had. And like the guy he saw sitting down with the trident in his hand. And it's a golden cape and stuff. And so, yeah. It's time for him to go to UA. And so, Izuku goes to UA, and Izuku walks in the door and sees Bakugo and Tenya Aelita um disagreeing and just yelling at each other, and so he just walks behind them and goes to the seat in the back. He doesn't know how to feel anymore. Ever since he met and trained hard every single day and gave it his all, he doesn't know how to feel about Bakugo. And then Aizawa walks in and says, "Get ready, we're going outside." And so then a bubbly girl asks, "What about orientation?" And Aizawa says, "The the teachers at UA can teach you however they want to. And get this on and go outside." And so all the students file out the classroom. The Quirk assessment test, and in this one, someone will leave. Guess who in the comments? Izuku walks out with his classmates and is in the back. And so then Aizawa tells Izuku Midoriya he got first on the entrance exam. Bakugo blanched and says, "Deku, how'd you get that? Did you cheat?" Then runs at Bakugo. No. Bakugo runs at Izuku angrily, saying, "Deku." But then Aizawa grabs Bakugo with his tight scarf. And so then he says, "Don't try that with me here. This is UA, not some petty rivalry. Katsuki Bakugo. Go back." And so then Bakugo definitely walks back, knowing he can't do anything right now. Then Izuku steps up. Yes, I just farted. Izuku steps up, and then Aizawa asks, "What you get on your middle school throw?" Izuku says 52-meter, and Aizawa nods and says, "Use your quirk to throw the ball." And so Izuku nods, and then he clenched the ball. And so then with all his might and a little bit of green lightning shocked the ball when he was throwing, and so then he throws it with all his might. But then in the sky, something happens. There's a huge streak of lightning that flashes, and then everyone hears a huge boom that rocks the ground they stand on. And so then, and so then, the ball gets sent to the sky and above the clouds, and then once it hits the magnetic field, it goes into the rotation like all meteorites do. And so Aizawa shows the class, and it gets infinity. And so everybody gets excited, and so Aizawa grins. Whoever gets last place gets kicked out of UA permanently. And so people protest it's unfair. And then Aizawa says, "Is natural disasters fair? Are power-hungry villains fair? No. You have to go beyond, plus ultra style." Then everyone gets serious and tries to give their all in this. And then the 50-meter run. Izuku steps up his mark, and since he is related to Wonder Woman, he would be fast. And he's related to like Aquaman and is Atlantean. So his like when Izuku grows up, he'll be running like 1,000, 2,000 miles per hour. And so I'm gonna give him, it'll be faster than Lita. So it'll be like 145 miles per hour. And so Izuku is able to just go full speed in like a blur and get 2.15 seconds. Yeah, 2.15. And Lita looks at Izuku in amazement, seeing how fast he can go. Then Bakugo glares and clenches his fist. How strong did that nerd hide from me? How strong did he go? He was just a bug under my foot that I could crush whenever I wanted to. Now I can't do it. And then he uses an explosion on accident, and like everybody looks at him weirdly, like, "What you doing? What you doing?" And so It's the sandbox jump. Izuku crouches low to the ground. Then, with all the strength he can, he jumps up far and landed at 100 feet forward of the sandbox. And he's able to leap this far and high because I researched Aquaman can jump over 100 meters out of water. And water pushes you down. He's going up, water pushes you down. Think about that. And Wonder Woman can jump like 1,000 feet in the sky. Plus, she can fly, so yeah. And so, well, now it's the grip test. So, this one, you guys could say it's controversial, but it's not. You can actually look it up. Wonder Woman can literally bench 100 tons, U.S. tons. And if you disagree with me, look up how much Wonder Woman and Aquaman can bench press, and it'll show you a lot. And so this is realistic. And so Shoji gets 540 kilograms, but then Izuku squeezes with all his might, gets 907 KD, which is 10 US tons. And I did that because trying to equalize Izuku, because if he just goes out benching like 2,000 kilograms, people are going to look at him like he's All Might. And so the ball throw goes the same, and Izuku does great in the other things. And so Izuku looks at the thing and sees that he got first place and is happy, and he basically got first place because he did as good as Ochako. He won the speed, he won the grip, and he got the farthest with the sand box. And so yeah, he won a lot, and that means he gets first place. Easy. And so Aizawa says, Toru, you're out. Leave. Being a hero is not just saving people. It's a business too. Leave. Pack your bags. Say goodbye. I'm just saying. That's stuff. And Izuku clenches his fist. I have to stay stronger and get stronger to become a hero. And so then Izuku walks away. And so then next day, UA Hero Course. All Might barged through yelling, I am here. And yeah. And so the class follows All Might outside. And so then All Might, it says you have to be the hero with the costume. And so Izuku calls for his trident, and in a show of lightning and water, it appears. And so then Izuku body gets wrapped in green scales with a golden cloak behind him with his trident in his hand, and people looking all at the cool suit. And All Might thinks he's able to create his own suit or his own costume with just his trident. Interesting. And so then All Might asks, since there's uneven numbers, there has to be one person who is all by himself. And Izuku and Todoroki raise their hand, and All Might picks Midoriya since he's trying to see what's his skill set all by himself. And everybody gets excited. Now it's even, they think. And Todoroki narrows his eye. He could be a threat to him becoming number one. So then All Might says, Izuku Midoriya versus Katsuki Bakugo and Ochako Uraraka. Yes, sir. And so, Izuku, when he's gets the 15 to 30 minutes, he puts the bomb on the highest level and starts meditating. He's trying to get the water from the nearby sea that he can find, and he's able to locate it. And so then he's bringing the water over in the sky, and then by the time this timer starts 1 minute in, they're about Bakugo and Lita are about to reach the third floor, but they get sent back. A huge burst of water pushes them back. Then the whole place gets flooded with water. Water. And they're like, how did water get here? And so then Izuku starts swimming, and for some reason Izuku's able to be so fast underwater, and so he can literally go sonic. He can create sonic booms underwater for some reason, and he's able to do this because he's related to Poseidon, and he's an Atlantean, and so that makes him even faster, and so he will probably go super fast, faster than Aquaman did when he was getting trained by that one guy. So it'll be pretty fast, to say the least. And so Izuku sees Tenya Lita, and so in the show of intelligence, he wraps his covering tape around him because Tenya Lita, he can't use his engines in the water. And so then you can see Bakugo crew creating explosions, making the water surround him even more, and accidentally creating a even worse situation for himself. And so then Izuku summons his trident, and so then he throws the trident at Bakugo's shirt, hanging him to a wall. And so since Izuku was able to use the situational awareness, he was able to capture Bakugo with his water, and Izuku won't always be able to go as fast and get as much water as he can normally. But the USJ, I believe, will be pretty close to that area, and they give him 15 to 30 minutes. But usually, he would lose that fight probably, and unless he's near water, and so that's why he won. That's why. And so then, All Might just does a low power Detroit Smash to clear the water and to clean the area. And so then he asks the class who is the MVP, and everyone shouts Midoriya because he was so cool. And Momo raises her hand, and All Might calls on her, and she says Midoriya won because he was able to turn the terrain he wasn't good in into his own, and bring water using the 15 to 30 minutes to his advantage. And with the water, he was able to defend and attack both opponents and defend because his water could slow them down and stuff. And so the rest of the class goes the same and onto the USJ. And so when they are in class, Azawa says, who wants to be class rep? And the class starts shouting, they want to. But then Tenya Alita says, let's do a U.S. democracy vote. So they vote 5 votes on Midoriya and 2 on Momoyarozu. And so Izuku's sitting with his friends Alita and Ochako, and they say how they voted for him, and Izuku listens. And so then the alarm sign sounds, but then a voice in his head says, jump onto the edge of that. And so then Izuku listens, and so then the voice says, say the press is outside, go back to your seats. And so Izuku yells it, and they do, and so everybody is able to finish lunch and still be fine. And so when they go back to class, Aizawa says, we'll be going to the USJ. And so they head to the USJ. And so once they head to the USJ, Froppy says, Midoriya, you're, you, I usually say what's on my mind, and your quirk's very strong. And because she couldn't compare his quirk to like All Might in this one, because a water and lightning quirk to All Might's, no. His is like a strength quirk. And so Izuku chuckles and says, I guess my quirk's unique. And Froppy nods. And so then they go to the USA. And so then Aizawa holds up three fingers to 13. And Izuku thinks All Might's time limit must have went out. And so by the end of this, a portal opens, and then a man says, looks like All Might isn't here. And so he says, Karaji, where's All Might? And he says he must not be here. And so then he says, well, we just gotta get him out by killing some kids. And so then Karaji goes to fight 13 and is able to defeat her, and they all get sent away. But Izuku gets sent to water and smiles. This is my terrain. And so then Izuku dashes at that at the villain and defeats him easily with the speed in the water. He just destroys the villain. So then him, Froppy, and Mineta gets onto the roof thing, like the boat, cruise boat. And so then Izuku says, what's your quirk, Froppy? And so she tells him her frog quirk, and Izuku nods and says, I can create a whirlpool and create a lightning. And so then he says, to hold the villains, Mineta, throw as many grapes balls as you can, no homo. And so they do the plan. And so once they do the plan, it works. Like, it literally works. And then a whirlpool appears, and they just get sucked in. And little does Izuku know, he used one of his Atlantean royal powers. So then this huge shark just keeps them stuck in place in fear, and other animals do too. And so then they get away, and so then they land and see Aizawa, and then Izuku runs, Aizawa! Then the Nomu appears in front of Izuku and grabs him by the throat. And so then Izuku sees Shigaraki running at the group of Mineta and Froppy, and he says, no! And so then Shigaraki yells, Nomu, kill him! And so then Nomu squeezes Izuku's throat, and Izuku says, no, no. And so then the voice in his head says, Izuku, let go. And Izuku screams, Rawr! And in the sky, lightning, boom, boom. And so then one more streak of lightning, boom, hits Izuku. Izuku eyes shot open, and he clenched his fist, and then decked the Nomu across the field. And so then he runs at Shigaraki, throwing him into Karaji, hitting them away. And so then Shigaraki yells, Nomu, kill him. And so then Izuku squares off against the Nomu character. So then at the edge of his mind, he's gathering water. Yes, water. And so then from the USA, water's flooding over to Izuku. And so then Izuku's fighting Nomu, who's not trying, but then is gradually trying more. And so Izuku's barely keeping up, but is keep on fighting. And so then the Nomu decks Izuku away, and Izuku says, why can't he take anything? And Shigaraki smiles widely. Nomu has shock absorption, and Izuku scowls. And so then Izuku um goes, the water then starts healing him and even makes him stronger. And so then Shigaraki looks in shock, but then Nomu attacks harder and Izuku attacks harder even more. And so then another lightning bolt hits Izuku and he throws the lightning bolt straight at Nomu, hitting him in the chest. And so then Izuku runs at Nomu with his newfound called full Cali, and then he just goes full speed, delivering punches, kicks, and he's able to do this, and he's moving at like 200 miles per hour. So Nomu is trying to fire back, but it's getting pushed back, and so then Izuku gets the edge, and so then Shigaraki and Kurojiri tries to stop him, but then Todoroki attacks them, and so then Izuku gets this chance, and so then Izuku has the water wave hit him away, and so then he uses the water, rides it, and so then he grabs his trident, and then he gets this dream. Then it shows this man just just saying these words that he doesn't know. So you know the words that Aquaman says, like when he's about to throw a trident. I forgot what it's called. Hold up. Oh yeah. Izuku then thinks, okay, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called, but yeah. And so then Izuku says, "Oh yeah, bonka," and throws it. And so then the light green lightning surrounds it, and so then Nomu gets it hit in the chest, and then in the skies, a huge bolt of lightning hits the rod, and so then Nomu gets electrocuted, and from the heat of the electric, he dies and gets exploded, and Izuku sighs and falls to the ground exhausted, and the trident goes right next to his side. And All Might arrives and defeats every villain. And so then he sees Shigaraki and Kurojiri, and so he attacks at them full speed, and is able to deliver a heavy blow to Kurojiri and basically cracks his rib. And so then him and Shigaraki leaves in a hurry. And so then they congratulate Izuku for defeating the Nomu guy, and now it's going to be the sports festival. And so Izuku gets called out for the speech. Izuku steps up. He has been thinking about a speech for a while, for a few weeks since he got to about the sports festival. And Izuku says, "I want to share you guys about my life leading up to this moment." And Izuku says, "When at the age of 4, I was diagnosed as quirkless, but I had a quirk. People bullied me, abused me, hurt me. Even my closest friends beating me up with this strong quirk. But that didn't deter me from being number one. I wanted to fight people with a smile on my face." And so then Izuku says, "But then I met my favorite hero. My most favorite hero. But know what he said to me? No, you can't be a hero. Try being a cop or something." I broke down. I wanted to save people with a smile on my face, not do what cops do. Cops are good, but I want to do more. I want to save the world with a smile. And so then I found out that I did have a quirk. And so then I trained it. I worked on my body day and night just to be able to become a hero. Then he says, then I made it into my dream school. I made it. I was so happy, Izuku says, looking at them with a smile. Then he says, I went through trials and tribulations to get here. And so what I'm saying is, when I become a hero, unlike what the hero told me, I want to tell that kid, you too can become a hero. You don't need a quirk to become a hero. You're already a hero. For keep on trying to do your dream. And so then he smiles at the crowd and walks off. Everybody cries, but then gets their act together. And so the first round of the sports festival happens. And it's the obstacle. Izuku gets in a running position and goes off in a sprint. Izuku's running full speed, and even Todoroki is amazed at the speed that Izuku's going. And so, Izuku then sees the halfway point, or the mountain slide to get across. So then he just jumps over it easily. And so then he lands on the other side, then the minefield. And so he carefully does it. But then Bakugo and Todoroki catch onto him. And so then Izuku breathes. And then acts savage, and then gets his trident. And so then he flings himself with his trident away. And so then he's flying in the sky. And so then he lands and is going in a full-out sprint. And he is able to cross it easily with his speed and smiles, I made it. And so, well, it's now the second round. Yay. And so, after this second round, no, the second round is the what's it called? The cavalry. He gets the same teammates, and it pretty much goes the same until he faces Todoroki's team. And so once his Todoroki's team and his square off, when Denki tries to fire the lightning at them, Izuku gets a voice in his head that's more deep and like stronger than his other voices, and he says, you are the sky. Nobody else can be the sky. Now show them why you're the god of the sky. And so then Izuku is able to absorb all the lightning, and Todoroki's team is shot. And so then Lita tries to use his reciprocal burst, but Izuku's reaction speed's way faster, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman's reaction speed was good when they were young too. And so Izuku is able to punch Todoroki away, and they end up keeping their first place. And so then there's a 1 hour intervening time, and so Izuku takes that time to rest and thinks, I need to use my trident more in a fight. And then he gets another dream of that same man he keeps seeing in his dreams spin his trident. And so he thinks, I'll try that. Maybe it'll work. Then he gets told about Shinso, but he still falls for Shinso like originally. But the voices in his head breaks him out of it. And so then Izuku, in a blitz of speed, kicks Shinso out. And so then Izuku smiles, and the matches go basically the same till Todoroki versus his fight. Izuku steps up with his trident, and so then when Todoroki starts firing ice at him, Izuku's just hitting and destroying the ice with his trident. And so then Izuku says, use your other side. And so then, then Todoroki says, "What did my father pay you off to tell me that?" And so Izuku shakes his head no, but Todoroki doesn't listen. And so Izuku then says, it's not his quirk, it's yours." Todoroki widens his eyes. Nobody told him that. And so then Todoroki uses his other side. And so then Izuku smiles. And Todoroki says, "What are you, crazy?" And so then Todoroki gets ready for the final clash. And so then Izuku runs, but then stops. He starts spinning his trident. And so while the ice and fire's firing at Izuku, like while he's right in front of it, the lightning speeds up his, spinning. And then a voice in his head says, "A person who can spin their trident like that is a true master." And so then green lightning, spins it faster and faster, and the ice gets knocked away. Fire gets knocked away. So then Izuku spins it so fast that actual wind surrounds the trident. And so then Izuku stops the spinning and aims all that kinetic energy right at Todoroki, hitting him outside the ring. And people clap and cheer, and Aizawa comments, "That's the ultimate defense." And so President Mike says, "Wait, what do you mean?" Aizawa grins, "You didn't see what he did? He spun his trident using his quirk full speed, and all Todoroki's attacks didn't do anything. He made the ultimate defense." And so then President Mike nods, and so then the rest of the matches go the same, and now it's Izuku versus Bakugo. And so the match with Bakugo is basically a dead even fight because Izuku dodges and goes hand to hand in this one. And so he's just fighting Bakugo hand to hand, and all of Bakugo's attacks do nothing because Izuku either blocks or dodges. And so then Bakugo says, "This is my ultimate move. This will be my final attack." And Izuku nods, getting ready for his. And so then Izuku grabs his trident again. And so then he says, "I don't need my ultimate move. I have my ultimate defense." Bakugo grins, "Let's see if you can hold it." And so then Izuku starts spinning his trident using the green electricity. And Bakugo is just hitting the shield. But Izuku keeps spinning and spinning. And so then Izuku, in the moment of seconds, stops for a second. Then he reverses it. And so the kinetic energy makes Bakugo's other side he wasn't leaning with hit, and so Bakugo gets sent outside the ring, and Izuku wins. And so this is the end of this part. I'll be doing parts for this one because the MHA arcs, and My Hero Academia has more arcs than Naruto, and so there will be part ones and stuff. And so, see you later.